there, Gary Parrish. Welcome back. CBS Sports Eye on College Basketball Podcast, where we sometimes discuss camel fighting. Dodo Birds, Leaky Black. The Eye on College Basketball Podcast is presented by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more. Matt Norlander is here with me. If you're watching on YouTube, smash the like button like you're Brandon Davies. You have consent. And if you haven't yet subscribed to the CBS Sports College Basketball YouTube channel, please also knock that out while you're here. Let's get into it. Another busy weekend of college basketball is on tap. Big games in every league. We'll talk about the SEC here in a second, but we have to start with our buddy John Fanta, who has been one of our favorite people for a while now, but he took it to another level last night, CBS Sports Network. He's on the call for Campbell's 78-68 win over Elon. As you know, Campbell, they're all fighting Camels. Here's how John Fanta spent the final few seconds of his call.
If you haven't, Nada.
I have a feeling on the Eye on College Basketball Podcast tomorrow, Matt Norlander and Gary Parrish will talk about the fighting Camels of Campbell. A really impressive performance.
That high quality audio is courtesy of yours truly, who
great job.
I had it on YouTube TV. I don't know how you can snag something off. If someone can indicate to me how, I
got a suggestion. How about before we learn how to do that, let's don't.
Well, shouts to John Fanta
for sure
for getting it in at the end of the show and giving us the Twitter shout out before. Fanta calling a game. I bet you didn't even know what Bowie's Creek was until yesterday, did you?
Oh, man, I grew up in Bowie's Creek. What you talking about? You think I never drained my lizard in Bowie's Creek?
Okay.
What does that even mean?
It's a Friday show, folks.
What does that even mean when people say they had to drain their lizard? Did you grow up in the Northeast? Did anybody ever just have to step away from the group because they had to, quote, drain their lizard?
No, if you want the answer to that, some, not all folks would say they got to go shake a sock.
Shake a sock?
Shake a sock, yes.
Shake a sock.
We're talking about peeing right now. It's Friday morning, 9:14 Eastern. And John Fanta, we appreciate you. We appreciate the shout out both on Twitter and then obviously on the CBS Sports Network broadcast. Campbell fighting sometimes talk about it. Sometimes they got to win over Elon on their home floor there. And I did not realize how big that camel statue is out in front of that building, by the way. That's humongous camel.
I bet you a camel sure could shake a sock, if you know what I mean.
I don't, actually, when it comes to that.
But I'd bet on it.
I'd bet on it as well. Congrats to the Camels, the fighting Camels. Fanta, we appreciate you. You're a mensch.
Fanta, you're the best. You're the best. You always have a place in our heart. Let's turn our attention to the SEC, where you might have heard Alabama beat Auburn the other night to improve to 5-1 in the league. So we got a first-place tie in the SEC. Alabama's 5-1. Auburn's 5-1. Tied for first, top the league standings. After that, it's Tennessee at 4-1. Then Kentucky, South Carolina, and Georgia at 4-2. Deadleg, remind me who you picked in the SEC in the preseason. I know it wasn't Arkansas, and congrats on that. And then tell me, would you change your pick right now?
Well, I would change my pick. Do you genuinely not remember?
I think it was Texas A&M.
It was Texas A&M.
Yeah.
Texas A&M. Let's do a little drive-by right here with Buzz Williams' team. They're 3-3 in the conference, 42nd at Ken Palm, 12-7 in overall, 3-1-3 of the past four. The one loss was at Arkansas. I would obviously change my pick. SEC right now ranks third in power conference strength overall. Big 12 obviously is course number one. Big East sits there at number two, and then you've got the SEC, which is good at the top. We got some weirdness down at the bottom, but we're not going to talk about those teams because they're not that good. Right now, I'd lean Tennessee, and I think you're probably going to agree with me. Here's why here's why I can't make the case for any of the others. Auburn 16-3, 5-1, tied atop the league standings, obviously with Bama, as you mentioned. Just super weird that they are 16-3 in a top three conference and are going into the final week of January and don't have a quad one win. Just bizarre stuff. Good team, unquestionably, and working its way to a comfortable tournament seed, gonna have to be a quad one opponent eventually here, Bruce Pearl's team. I'm just not gonna take them to win the league because of that. Bama, 13-6, also 5-1, still rates as a top 10 team in multiple predictive metrics. Offense is really, really good. It has lost against a lot of high-end teams. It finally, by way of beating an Auburn team that does not have a quad one win, finally got its first win over a top 10 level team. Really, you can even expand it beyond that from a metric standpoint. It was Bama's first win over a top 25 team this season, and they got it at home in a tightly contested matchup. And then Kentucky, defensive issues obviously are major. Tennessee just much more reliable there, while also having a fairly respectable offense this season. So those are your top four in whatever order you want to organize them. Tennessee, Bama, Auburn, Kentucky. I would lean Tennessee right now, but we are at a point here where it's those four. You can, if you really want to draw the line and say, actually, Kentucky's a notch below because of the defense, I think you have a case. And then there's a significant drop off in the conference there. And then you get into who's going to wind up emerging and be like South Carolina, record wise, it's there. Efficiency wise, it's not, but it's probably there. You've got Florida that's in that conversation. Maybe A&M can pick up the slack. Mississippi State. Those are your teams after that. And then Ole Miss as well, because it's got a gaudy record, but its metrics aren't great. Those are the teams that are going to be vying to get into the tournament. Eventually, you might see two of those teams break through.
So in the top 25-1, I've got Tennessee at number 4. Let me see what happened after Arizona lost last night. Yeah, I've got Auburn up to number 10. I've got Kentucky at 19, Alabama at 25, and I've got South Carolina at 26. And you're right, the efficiency numbers aren't good. The computer numbers, broadly speaking, aren't good, although the strength of record. What do you think South Carolina's strength of record is right now?
Because of the records, it's probably, I'm going to say South Carolina is probably like top 15 in strength of record. If it's not, it would surprise me.
We're going to put that down as an incorrect answer.
Not
South
top
Carolina,
15.
16.
Okay, there we go.
16. But if you just do blind resume on South Carolina, 2-2 in quadrant 1, they're 4-0 in quadrant 2, so that would make them 6-2 in the first 2 quadrants, 4 games above 500 in the first 2 quadrants with 1 quadrant 3 loss. That's borderline top 25-1-ish. I've got them in there at this point. I'm just going to respect. I mean, it's January 26th. At some point, I'm just going to respect the resume and what you're doing in quad 1 and what you're doing in quad 2. South Carolina's solid. I do stop short, I think, of putting them in the top tier of the SEC. But I do think that's a legitimate top 30-ish team. I've got them in the top 25-1 right now. Hey, trivia time. You mentioned Auburn has 0 quadrant 1 wins. Who leads the SEC in quadrant 1 wins? Who has more than anybody else?
Feels a little tricky. It's not. If it's, I'll give you the answer. I'm just going to talk it out loud here. If it's Bama, that will stun me. I'm going to say, and Kentucky's got, I'm going to say Tennessee, but it doesn't feel like it's one of those 4.
Tennessee has 3 quadrant 1 wins. That is not leading the SEC. At this time yesterday, it was actually Texas A&M with 4.
Look at that.
But something changed over the night. I just noticed.
That net'll fluctuate on you.
That net will fluctuate on you.
That's the thing about arbitrary cutoffs, and why quad 1, quad 2 wins. As a reminder to our audience, while they are a compass, they are far from flawless. Because when you have arbitrary cutoffs and they can just flip like that overnight, not the absolute best system.
No, I was talking to my buddy Ian Furness last night. He's a Washington State guy, does TV and radio in Seattle, and I think Washington State beat Utah. And Utah was like 29th in the net. So it was a quad 1 win. But when it updated the next morning, Utah dropped outside of the top 30 of the net. So it was actually a quad 2. At the time you got it, it was quad 1. By the time you woke up the next morning, it was a quad 2. Something happened overnight. Alabama does now have 4 quadrant 1 wins as well.
Is it really?
So it's Alabama and Texas A&M leading the SEC in quadrant 1 wins. I would go with Tennessee to win the league. I think that's the best team in the league right now. They're 3-4 in quadrant 1, 5-0 in quadrant 2. So 8-4 in the first 2 quadrants. All 4 losses are in quadrant 1. Wins over Wisconsin, Illinois, Alabama. All 4 losses, not only in quadrant 1, but to teams in the top 45 of the net.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's where I would lean toward future SEC champ, but I'm not ruling out Alabama or Auburn. Those computer numbers are hard to ignore, because even if the resume doesn't suggest what the computer numbers are suggesting, the computer numbers are suggesting like national championship contender.
Yeah, I got 2 more for you here. One, we did a dribble handoff this week on just projecting out Kentucky's rest of the season. We did this one a year ago. Shouts to KB, Kyle Boone, who in retrospect, I went back and looked. He almost nailed it perfectly in terms of conference record, overall record, and how they'd fare in the tournament. This year, I actually have Kentucky only losing 4 more league games. So I have them right now. UK is 4-2. I have them going 12-6 in the conference. I actually think the schedule sets up for them relatively favorably. I just don't think that 12-6 is going to win the SEC. I think the winner of that league is coming out with 5 or fewer victories. Kentucky could actually maybe, but like it can't lose on Saturday, that kind of thing. Maybe get out of there with 5 if it can fix its defensive issues. Just keep an eye there. And then obviously there's a couple intriguing SEC games. We'll get to that later in the show.
What Kentucky is starting to strike me as is the type of team that they're going to lose a game here or there that make you go, why are they losing that game? And then they're going to get in the tournament and they're going to be dangerous regardless of what seed they are. You remember the team that beat Fred VanVleet and Ron Baker in this round of 32? I believe it was in St. Louis as an 8 seed. Wichita State was a 1 and Kentucky got an 8. And then you got into this situation where I think it was like undefeated Wichita State against 8 seed Kentucky. But man, Kentucky had the better players, and that was going to be pretty clear from the jump. I think this is going to be one of those deals. I don't think Kentucky's going to get an 8 seed, but I could see something like a 4 or a 5 seed rather than a 1 or a 2. And you look at that team going into the NCAA tournament, you go, if you're trying to find a 4 or a 5 seed that can make the Final Four, it might be John Calipari's team. Because I still think they have a lot of questions, but they have more excellent basketball players, more super talented basketball players than anybody else. That might not be enough to win a national championship or even go to a Final Four, but I still think that's true.
It is. They're a team with a lot of potential, but you know what, GP? There's another team that seemingly had a lot of potential, and I think we got to get to it because well after you and I went to bed on a channel neither you and I get in our televisions, there was a notable result that went down late into the wee hours of Thursday night.
We'll talk about it next, but first a word from our partners.
Wake up to football highlights and news from around the world with the one and only Morning Footy team.
Rise and shine, football fans. Welcome to Morning Footy.
Start your all-day football craze with Morning Footy, part of the all-new Golazo Network.
First, let's set the record straight.
Yeah.
You might have been asleep last night, but as a man who now stays up till 5 a.m. on Tuesdays and Wednesdays every week, even though I was back home last night.
5 a.m, huh?
5 a.m. on Tuesday and Wednesday.
Feels like you need to be a little bit more efficient with your workflow there.
5 o'clock Eastern.
That is outrageous, man.
I get at a studio and I go back and I start prepping for other shows, doing the top 25 and 1, and I watch the Australian Open.
That's gonna get you right. It's gonna reel you in every single time. Well, you know what? It's not on the docket here, but if in the third block you want to get into what's going on down under,
I'm very disappointed.
Really inform me. Are we at the semifinal stage? Where are we in this tournament?
Oh yeah, we're at the final stage now. We had men's semifinals last night.
Yeah.
Shouts to Medvedev, but Novak Djokovic, he was upset. He couldn't handle his business.
Was he really?
Oh, yeah.
Missed it. All right.
He had his long winning streak at the Australian Open. It was snapped down in Melbourne. And that Coco Gauff, I tell you, I couldn't be more disappointed in her.
You want to just keep firing off these tennis takes?
I couldn't be more disappointed in her.
Who's the Coco Gauff of college hoops?
Arizona.
There we go. Okay.
Here's my point. No, I didn't see it. It was on the Pac-12 network. Of course I didn't see it. But was I following it in real time? Was I watching Inside College Basketball over and over again as they had to keep redoing the A block because that game was running late?
You were following along because you knew what was going on? Yeah.
Yes. I watched them do that A block like 3 times last night.
Oh, my gosh. And you've been there, but you weren't there last
time.
Time.
Yeah, no, man. There ain't nothing worse than when you guys sit around and do the A block 3 different times because the game won't end.
I believe buddy Seth Davis was in studio and lived through that. I do love that you've become an Australian Open expert. That's going in the no context preview. No question about that whatsoever. And I'm actually I'm a tennis guy for sure. I love me some tennis, but I'm not checking in at 3 a.m. Cause just not going to happen there. Arizona.
Seriously, the Coco golf match the other night.
Yeah.
I was like so fired up for it. Like I really got into it. And I was like, I looked at the clock at one point and I was like, I can't keep watching this. This is outrageous. I have to do a show in like 4 hours. But I was into it. It was a blast. I love the Australian Open. I'm just tired.
Oh man. Shouts to Sam Vecini, by the way.
An
Aussie resident now. Although I don't know if you pronounced Melbourne correctly, but
I did the best I could.
At least it's not groin, right? We'll move on from that. Arizona. Let's just play Arizona lost at the buzzer to Beaver Fever. I believe Nada has the video already. Nada, play how
too slow. They wasted 5 seconds.
Jordan Pope for the win. Oh! Oh!
If you're listening to the show, just hit that tap back 15-second once or twice and listen to the winner. I don't know if I've ever heard a call on a game winner sound like that before.
Well, the announcers were really frustrated with him. Too slow. He wasted 5 seconds. What's he even doing?
And they were like, oh.
They were real upset with the way this was unfolding in the final seconds.
What's going on there? The call, courtesy of the Pac-12 network, Jordan Pope with let's be honest, a terrible shot that went in. It was like a follow. It was like a fadeaway follow, a 3-pointer that goes in. Hey, Oregon State, you take any win anyway. Arizona ditched you to go to the Pac-12. You don't even have a power conference to live in, 4.5 months from now. You get the win. Wayne Tinkle going through it, 10-9, gets above 500, just 2-6 in the league. And Jordan Pope, good on you. The story here is Arizona, which has still never lost back-to-back games in Tommy Lloyd's tenure. We'll get to that later in the show when we get to what they're going to do this weekend. But at 14-5 and having losses now, an understandable one against Purdue, an understandable one against FAU that still might be the best game of the season so far, but then a 100-82 drubbing a month ago at Stanford, a 73-70 loss at Washington State, and now an 83-80 loss at Oregon State. It's still rating well, but I think we've hit a point here. Go ahead and look up and down on the teams we got that are top 10, top 15 quality. The West Coast is lacking. We'll get to Gonzaga in a second, but Gonzaga is not Gonzaga that we know. Arizona is now dropping games. This will have an impact in March because, as always, there is a West region, and no team is heading toward 1-seed status, which means you're going to have a team probably out of the Big 12 that winds up getting shipped out West as a 1-seed there. So just keep an eye on that down the road. San Diego State, I don't think can get to a level, even if it'd have to run the table in the Mountain West, and we'll get to the Mountain West in just a second as well. But
everybody in the Mountain West is going to be a 6 seed.
Now, I think someone's going to I hear what you're saying.
Going to be 6 seeds.
First of all, there's going to be more than 4 teams that can win, so they can't have 6 seeds.
They're going to have 6.
People don't realize you got to put
6
8 teams into the tournament, but you also cannot have 6 seeds.
I need to talk to Palm about that.
You go ahead. Yeah.
Let me talk to Jerry. Yeah. I hear where you're coming from, and I respect your opinion. Yeah. But I'd rather hear it from Jerry Palm if you don't mind.
You go ahead and you do the math on that. You circle back with Jerry Palm and see how that works out for you. Arizona.
I respect your opinion. But I'd like to hear it from Jerry Palm.
All right, that's fine. If you need to hear from him, that's fine. Any thoughts on Arizona getting poped on the road at Beaver Fever on late Thursday night?
Man, I love my buddy got on Pac-12 Network and decided he's going to be James Harden at the buzzer.
That's what happened, man. It's exactly. And listen, it looks good. Shot's terrible. Whatever. Tie game. You want it. There.
No, it looks great because you'll be able to retell that story like, oh, listen to him. Too slow. He wasted 5 seconds. Buddy, I knew what I was doing the whole time. Watch this.
Exactly.
Watch this. Too slow. Watch this. Too slow getting it out of the net. Arizona, like you detailed the losses. They're now 1-3 in Pac-12 road games, and the lone win is at Cal. As I wrote in the top 25 and 1 early Friday, they look like the type of team that's going to win the Pac-12 and get a 4 seed. You know, like you don't usually win a power conference and are unable to get a top 3 seed in the NCAA tournament, but that might be where they're headed. They've got nice big wins, but they're like 6-5 in their last 11. It's not just that they're playing well or not so well over the past week. After they got off to a really nice start, let me get you the actual numbers on it. After they got off to the 8-0 start, yeah, they're now 6-5 in their past 11, and they are 1-3 in Pac-12 road games. They're not. It's not just like last night happened. They haven't been playing well for several weeks now.
Yeah, it's a problem. I think it's a genuine problem. They're a good team at home, a lot of potential, but and this is not the team we've seen the past 2 seasons in the regular season under Tommy Lloyd. I think Kylan Boswell's dropped off just a little bit. You check in on the stats there, and Caleb Love has been good, but still just 33% from 3-point range. Umar Ballo, not an every game dominant player. Still good potential. Maybe they're headed toward a situation where they are that 4 seed GP, and then I'm not going to say they're going to pull a 97 to the maximum and go from the 4 line to winning a title, but maybe they become a trendy 4 seed that wrecks a bracket, knocks out a 1 seed. I could see something like that happening. We'll see if they can get it together. We're going to talk about their matchup on Saturday later in the show. Also out west, Gonzaga got a good push from San Francisco, but they avoided it. They've beat them I don't know the exact number here. It was said on the broadcast last night. They have not lost to San Francisco since, I think, 2012. So they won at the Kennel. But St. Mary's beats Pacific, and Pacific is terrible. But still, 76-28. 76-28 from our CBS Sports stat gurus here. St. Mary's has technically held 2 teams now under 30 points this season. The caveat with that is that it is not 2 teams at the Division I level. St. Mary's now 15-6 overall. Their opener against Cal State Stanislaus. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a tough one right there, but they won 107-28 to open the season. Not a Division I program at all. So it kind of counts, but it kind of doesn't. As far as I'm concerned, it shouldn't count. However, the last time a team went in a season, had multiple teams held below 30 D1 opponents. Virginia did it 2014, 2015. St. Mary's has done it at least once. Big time win. St. Mary's, it's getting its act together, has 1 loss since December 1st. And this was at the time, St. Mary's was 3-5, preseason top 25 team. Its loss is not good in that stretch. It's a home loss to Missouri State, but since its most recent loss, which came against, respectable loss, came against Boise State, it has a win at Colorado State, 1 on a neutral over a decent UNLV team, and has won 5 road games, including a game against San Francisco. That is quad 1. So St. Mary's putting it together. They play Gonzaga on the road next weekend. I don't know if you have any thoughts or takeaways on that.
Well, you say a decent UNLV team, and UNLV does have some decent wins this season. Do you see what they did the other night?
Yeah, they got absolutely boat raced by Air Force out of nowhere.
By 32.
Strange. Very strange result. Yeah.
It was off the radar.
Yeah.
We had it. The reason I know is because we had it on our air. That was our late game. Yeah. But they were 10-point favorites over Air Force and lost by 32. It was a wild. That was one of the weirder scores of the week.
Very, very weird score. Let's continue to take a tour here. Let's go to Wednesday. Before we get to let's go Mountain West since you just brought it up there. New Mexico won at San Jose State.
Right.
And now because of that, GP, if I'm right on this, do we not have a 4-way tie in the league standings in the Mountain West as we head into the weekend?
I believe that is right. We have a 4-way tie in the Mountain West in the win column. So we have 4 teams that already have 5 victories. Utah State and Boise State are both 5-1 in the league. San Diego State and New Mexico are both 5-2. Everybody else is at least 2 games back of that in the win column. So for all intents and purposes, percentage points and all that. But Utah State, Boise State, San Diego State, New Mexico, that's the top of the Mountain West right now.
Yeah, and so Colorado State, which was sitting prettiest to start the season, it's now dropped 3 of 5 games. They've all been on the road. Utah State, Boise State, and Nevada. So they've all been on the road against projected tournament teams. And because of that, we'll see if Isaiah Stevens, who Jaden Ledee's having a good year. If you had let me pick one player in the conference, I would pick Isaiah Stevens at Colorado State. We'll see if they can get it back, in their favor. The schedule does balance out for them in the back end. But because Nevada was able to win at home earlier this week, it's still a projected 6-bid league. We'll see if they can hang on to that. Mountain West continues to be much watch on a daily basis. From Wednesday, got one Wednesday result, then 2 from Thursday, then we can pick the weekend. Northwestern has 2 wins this season now at home over top 10 teams. Its 4th quad 1 win came against Illinois. An intense watch, a great environment at Welsh Ryan Arena. Northwestern is really building itself out a tournament resume here and doing well for itself. Boo Buie, All-American level. And by that, I don't necessarily mean first-team All-American, although he could get there. But when I say All-American, there are 3 All-American teams. So first, second, third, top 15 player of value, impact stats, etc. Boo Buie's unquestionably in that conversation right now. And Chris Collins' team is 5-3 in the Big Ten. They've got a home tilt on Saturday night against Ohio State. One of those deals where Ohio State's actually fairly urgent. Like, they're a little bit desperate right now. And Northwestern, can you just handle prosperity decently well to get that, because your next 2 are on the road and you got a return game against Purdue lurking in less than a week there. But a big time win for the Wildcats on Wednesday night in Welsh Ryan, overwhelming Illinois and taking control in the overtime period, 96-91 final there. Really impressive. Boo Buie, man. Going to build that dude a statue outside Welsh Ryan eventually, and they should, because he is on the short list of best players in the history of that program.
I was just joking. I have no data to support this. I'm going to need to get Jared Burson to look this up. He invented ESPN Stats and Info. Still owns it.
Mm-hmm.
Boo Buie's going to leave college basketball top 20 all time in final minute highlights.
It's going to be something like that. Yes, I know. I have an update. I have an update to our wonderment, by the way. I got to thank you for reminding me on this. Tim Stahl, shouts to you. The question about RJ Davis: have we ever had a guy who was like the 5th leading scorer and stayed on the roster with the former leading scorer over multiple years? We talked about it in the previous show.
Yeah.
He's got one for us. He said, to your question about RJ Davis, Juwan Johnson at Purdue in 2000, 2007, 2008 was 7th on the team in scoring. And then in 2010, 2011, he was the leading scorer. Etuan Moore was on all of those teams and led the team in scoring the other 3 seasons. So at the power conference level, we have a reference.
No,
that's why we love our audience. That's actually really awesome that someone was able to figure that out and find that out.
I saw that tweet. The fact that we only got 1 suggested is rare.
Yeah.
But that was a great example. And those Purdue teams with those, there was 3 of them. Etuan Moore, Robbie Hummel, Juwan Johnson. Was that the 3?
Yeah, it was. Yes.
Yeah. Like, it always felt like those teams, those are great basketball teams, man.
I'm aware. Yes, they were very good, and they had some injury drawbacks. But if not, those were teams that people thought would actually go to the. Listen, Purdue fans, I don't mean to, bring up an old wound here, but Purdue has had plenty of instances where it's had teams clearly capable and the roster built to make a Final Four. It just hasn't happened.
Just like Coco Golf.
Exactly. Although, no, that was Arizona. You're mixing your metaphors now.
I know, but Purdue was Coco Golf before Arizona was.
What Australian Open participant is the Purdue of men's or women's tennis right now?
Probably. Who's my little girl who had to take? She just had a baby.
I don't know, man.
I think she won a.
I know you're not talking about Serena Williams.
No. Serena Williams is the. Well, what is Serena Williams of college basketball?
UCLA under Wooden? I don't know.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay. Let's just move on. 2 more.
Naomi Osaka.
Oh, Naomi Osaka. Did she have a baby?
Well, she should if she.
Okay. I think she just stepped away from the game. I don't know. Okay,
I think she wanted to have a baby. She might have a baby. If not,
right.
You know what? Her body, her choice. I'm going to leave it up to her.
That's correct.
I'm going to leave it up to Naomi whether she has a baby or not. I don't feel like it's any of my business.
You're back on the right track there. Okay. 2 mid-major results that we got to get to, and I saw the chat buzzing about this. Don't worry. Your boys got you here. First, Vermont won over UMass Lowell. Moment of silence for UMass Lowell taking its first America East loss, please.
Riverhawks, Mississippi Riverhawks.
I was looking for a moment of silence there. You kind of jumped in a little early, but it's all good.
But it's hard to stay silent when I'm mourning. Sometimes when I'm mourning, I like to mumble things.
Okay.
I've never been good at moment of silence.
The whole moment of silence.
I've never been good at it. I've never been that great at a moment of silence. I like to mumble when I'm mourning.
72-65. Vermont wins in overtime Thursday at home to improve to 15-5 and be undefeated in the American East. Shouts to Nectars, shouts to Church Street. And then Denver beat South Dakota on Thursday in what actually might be. Now, can I confess that I didn't see this game? Of course I can. However, this might now be the game of the season. 111, 110, double overtime. Tommy Bruner is the nation's leading scorer at more than 26 points a game. He had 49 in this game. Single season high for all of men's D1 this season. Of course, Nada has the video queued up. I hope this isn't too loud because it was. I'll tell you what, I gave him the video and it was loud on Twitter. Nada, go and play this thing. Let's watch how this one ended.
Seen South Dakota takes it out right now. Denver's just got to hope to come up with a steal. Tommy Bruner.
Tommy does it. Tommy gets it to Tyson Garf. Looking across the floor. Save for the win.
Come on, man. That is the absolute best of college hoops. So Bruner gets the steal. Havlicek stole the ball and helps set up the assist for the winner via CBS Research GP. He had 49 points. He has still facilitated the buzzer-beating shot for the win. He joined Jimmer Fredette and Trey Young as the only players with at least 48 points and 8 assists in a D1's men's game over the last 15 years, and it was the first time there was a D1 game with multiple 40-point scorers since 2020. In this game, South Dakota's Caleb Stewart had 44 in the loss. I'm going to drop a Jared Burson special for you as well. That was so by nature of Stewart going for 44 and Bruner going for 49, you had 2 players in the same game setting the in-season high watermark for most points scored by a player. Pretty incredible stuff there. Burson said it was the first time a D1 game had each team score at least 110 points with someone else scoring 44 since December 3rd, 1990.
Yep.
Yeah, I know you knew that. You knew that. Awesome stuff, man. That scene out there was incredible. This might be our first Denver mention on the pod ever. Maybe it's squeezed in there somewhere else, but UD trivia time. What's their nickname?
The Broncos.
Man. Where is it? No. One more guess.
Nuggets.
Your friends. I'm going to name drop on your behalf. You're friends with Adrian Wojnarowski, are you not?
Oh, yeah. Bingo's there.
How disappointed would he be to learn that the place where his son goes to college, you can't even name the nickname?
Yeah, I can. They're the Rockies.
Pioneers, my friend.
The Pioneers. I knew Denver would be okay once they got rid of Russell Wilson. I knew this is what would happen.
I don't believe Denver has ever made the NCAA tournament.
Well, who cares what you believe?
I'm saying I'm highly confident that's the case. They've never gotten there. 13-8, 4-2 in the Summit. 111-110 over South Dakota on Thursday night. Maybe the game of the year. Let's pick the weekend.
Oh, it's time for the Final 4-1 presented by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more. We'll do that next. But first, one more word from our partners.
The biggest event in sports is coming to the entertainment capital of the world. CBS Sports HQ will have you covered every minute, getting you set with all the critical analysis you need. Ready, set, Vegas.
The Final 4-1 is presented by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more. Updated records, Deadleg.
Why don't you tell the folks?
I'm 31, 24, and 1.
Yeah.
after going 2-3 last week.
Means
You
what
went
happened?
4-1 last week. You are now 31-24-1. So I am now
Side mounted.
have an insurmountable lead.
It's a side mount situation. You've been there. We've been there many times, you and me, side mounting each other. And we are side mounted once again. By the way, not a checked in. Naomi Osaka did have a child. So
Congratulations.
You that as always.
Congratulations to her.
Game 1.
Game 1 Saturday, 1:30 p.m. Eastern. Number 7 Kansas at number 23 Iowa State inside Tyrese Halliburton Coliseum. You can watch it on CBS. It's America's most watched network of stars.
Tyrese Halliburton, congratulations. You got a little love in the court report, and look what happens. You make an all-star team as a starter. Good on you. Did you see the story that happened earlier this week when Iowa State beat Kansas State?
Iowa State beat Kansas State. I'm aware that was Hilton Magic.
Well, it might have been more than Hilton Magic. Does college hoops have its own mini Connor Stallion saga right now?
Oh,
so
I don't know what you're talking about.
In the handshake line afterward, Jerome Tang and TJ Otzelberger, two great guys to talk with, and two guys who you think would get along swimmingly, and perhaps they still do, but they had an elongated exchange, and I'm sure the K-State fans and Iowa State fans listening are well aware of this, but if you missed it, they started pointing over toward K-State's bench multiple times as if they were having an informative conversation. Well, Kellis Robinette, who's done a great job for a long time covering Kansas State hoops, had a report that came out on Thursday that said, quote, Tang and some of his assistant coaches were focused on the crowd for a different reason because they were getting heckled. Turns out they were concerned that Iowa State had placed managers and or other team representatives in spots behind the visiting bench where they could view and possibly even record the Wildcats as they huddled up during timeouts, according to sources. The sources said K-State's coaches were worried about those observers quickly passing information to the Iowa State bench via text messages. That would explain why Tang immediately walked to midcourt to inform Iowa State coach TJ Otzelberger of what he spotted in the crowd with 7 minutes, 51 seconds remaining in the second half. Later, they had an interesting follow-up conversation during the post-game handshake line. Both coaches got asked about this in the post-game, and they were not going to give it up. Tang said, quote, nothing happened. We talked about a situation that took place during the game, and he said he would check into it. Then I told him thank you and went on. I love TJ. He does a great job. TJ Otzelberger said, there's a point in time where things are said between coaches that needs to stay that way, so that's where we're going to keep it. Whoo, buddy. That's actually
This was between travel and the Australian Open. This was off my radar a little bit. I saw you reference it, but I didn't get into the details. I don't know, obviously, but wouldn't you have to be crazy to try to pull something like this right now?
Yeah. Do we think this actually happened? No. But the fact that, I don't know, there's enough heightened awareness to jump the sport from football to basketball. The idea that you could do it doesn't work the same way, obviously, in hoops as it does in football. Any given play, by the way, in basketball, obviously can break down. It can be more one-on-one, improvisational. Not to say that, getting scouting advantages would not benefit teams. It certainly could. I just thought this was a little bit of drama here, a little bit of a wrinkle, and that was as it always is. But having dialed into that one from start to finish, that was also another incredible environment earlier this week.
Well, the thing about basketball is often the other team does know exactly what you're running.
Yes.
I mean, they call it out and then you call it out.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. So
you still got to stop the guy. It's
Yeah. So it's less of a thing in basketball than football, but I don't know. Interesting story. And those are two guys, again, they've known each other forever. I always like it. I don't know if like it. I'm just always aware. Like, these are two guys who were Big 12 assistants at the same time for a while, right? So now they're Big 12 head coaches. So they've come up. They've lived in each other's worlds for a long time. I'll let them sort that out. I don't have any idea. It just seems to me even if I were a coach who liked to bend/break the rules. If somebody came to me at this point after the Harbaugh stuff and was like, hey, if we put some managers here, we could, I'd be like, we can't. Like, now is not the time. Now's not the time. I would say now's not the time, but who knows?
Yeah, exactly. As for the game, intriguing story there nonetheless. Kansas
KenPom has an Iowa State -4.
This is the best matchup of the weekend, in my opinion. Obviously, it's on CBS, and you want to be dialed in on early Saturday morning. Kansas only got 2 points in its home win, 2 points off the bench, not just 2 points. They did not win 2-0. That would have that'd be a throwback to the days of 2-year-old Tony Hinkle winning 2-0. Only 2 points off the bench.
What do you think Kansas is? Pacific?
Exactly. Yeah. Let's not underestimate, I guess. KU only getting 2 points off the bench late from Elmarco Jackson. Home win over Cincinnati. That popped out to me. This is at Iowa State. I'm going to go. See, I looked at the 5-week games we got here, GP, and I'm worried that we might go same pick on every single one. So this is the one where I thought, you know what? Maybe because it's 4 points, maybe it'll be different. I'm gonna go Cyclones here. Get a couple managers behind that KU bench, see what they can make. Little Hilton Magic, little Hilton Recon, little Hilton Subterfuge. Why not? Give me Iowa State -4.
I think Kansas can come out and accuse Iowa State of cheating.
Yes.
Wouldn't that be great?
It would be quite the.
Bill Self is at the press conference. Like, I just don't, how are we supposed to operate if it's not a level playing field?
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I want. Bill Self with his big chain. Remember that chain he had in that promo video? I want Bill Self in the post-game press conference, at Hilton Coliseum with his big chain on, talking about when is Kansas basketball ever going to be able to compete on a level playing field?
Oh my goodness, that would be amazing. I will take this because of this. I will take Cyclones -4.
Iowa State's 12-0 at home. Wins over Houston, Kansas State. Kansas only 1-2 in its past 3 road games. So, needless to say, I'm taking the Jayhawks +4. Game 2, Saturday, 5:30 p.m. Eastern. Number 9 Arizona at Oregon inside Dillon Brooks Arena. You can watch it on Fox. KenPom has it Arizona -7.
Oh, see, this was exactly what I was just talking about here. I was like, Arizona -7. Will GP have the stones to take Zona on the road to cover that? I don't think you will, and I know that I won't. Oregon right now is 14-5, 6-2 in the league. It just beat Arizona State easily on Thursday by 19 points. It did drop road games last weekend, but it's at home. I saw a good stat. I think this might have been Evan Miyakawa that sent this out. I believe it was, so hopefully I'm crediting properly. Oregon leads the country this season with the most players that have led the team in scoring on a game-by-game basis. 10 guys have led Oregon in scoring in a game this season. That's honestly impressive. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but it's a thing. I will take Oregon.
I'd like to have one guy lead me in scoring every game, and that guy to be Zach Edey.
There you go. Well, of course, I think most people would say that as well. However, Kentucky's kind of got that kind of situation, kind of sorta, and it's somewhat working out for them. I will take Oregon at home. If Oregon is getting 7 on its home floor in the woods, give me Oregon +7. Especially after Arizona. After what we just saw, Arizona got beaver fevered. I got to go Oregon +7.
Yeah, but college basketball is where the unexpected becomes the ordinary.
So it goes.
You're failing to recognize that this is where the unexpected becomes the ordinary. Of course, Arizona, after losing at Beaver Fever, is going to go to Oregon and win. I'll take Arizona -7. Oregon's alone atop the Pac-12 standings. Arizona coming off a loss to Oregon State. So, yeah, you got to lay 7 with the Wildcats on the road. That makes perfect sense. Game 3, Saturday, 4 p.m. Eastern. Number 18.
You got it?
Well, I think I do.
Number 18, Utah State. Is that it?
Yeah, but our graphic said something else, so I was double-checking myself. Okay. Number 18, Utah State at Boise State inside Derek Austin Arena. Remember Derek Austin?
Vaguely.
Oh, man. I couldn't wait to get him into the NBA.
Derek Austin. Here we go.
What do you think he's up to these days?
Something called Derek Austin Music pops up. Okay, we got another no context here. No idea who this dude is.
He plays drums for Jelly Roll.
Does he really?
Derek Austin.
Are you serious?
Yes, I'm serious. The former Boise State basketball player plays drums for Jelly Roll.
I'm talking about if you happen to look up Derek Austin and then your Google search did to you what it just did to me, and brought up a musician. For all I know, this dude does play drums for Jelly Roll. I don't think so, though.
No, I'm just making things up.
37,000 followers on Instagram, Derek Austin. I tell me what you got for Derek. There's also a Derek Austin who's an author. Who's Derek Austin?
I thought he played at Boise State. Did I invent him?
Did you Mandela affect yourself on a Boise State player? Maybe he did. I'm not saying he didn't. There's many different ways to spell Derek Austin. Hold on, I'm going to do this right here.
Well, make sure it's Austin, not Austin, Texas.
Okay, Derek Alston. Alston. I'm here in Austin.
Well, that's the Mississippi coming out.
Yeah. It's the.
I've been. You might have a hard time understanding me. I've been watching the Australian Open.
Native tongue got me. Yeah, exactly.
Now I'm starting to talk like Crocodile Dundee.
Yeah, let's hear that Australian accent while we're at it.
What if because I stay up till 5 o'clock in the morning watching the Australian Open, I started talking like Crocodile Dundee?
Yeah. Should you do the rest of the Final Four and 1 with an Australian accent?
Game 3, mate. Saturday, 4 p.m. Eastern
at Boise State, mate. And Broncos favored by 1. Who you got? I might just do this, even though I asked you to.
I just think home court advantage is such a big deal in the Mountain West.
Now we're talking. Let's literally do this right now.
I just really like home court advantage in the Mountain West. I don't think I'm doing it right.
Over to England with that one, but you know what? We just ride with
I think I belong in the crown. I think I'm in the crown.
You might be on the wrong side of the wrong ocean, my bud.
Oh no, mate. Whatever.
Drop in there every other sentence, trying to make it more legitimate, are you?
I'm taking the Broncos. I have Broncos shorts. I don't know how I could bet against them.
I'm also going to take the Broncos, bud. Give me the Broncos to cover -1. What's game 4?
Game 4 is Saturday, 6 p.m. Eastern. Number 16 Dayton at Richmond inside the Jacob Gilliard Center. You can watch that one. CBS Sports Network. It's a network of stars. Dayton -3.
It's a huge game. Dayton 6-0 in the A10. Richmond 14-5 overall. Also 6-0 in the Big Ten. I mean the A10.
You don't know what conferences you're talking about, mate.
Work. The unions, or the conferences, or the leagues? How does it work? Listen, the Flyers, they're tremendous. They got a guy. These Flyers, they got a guy named Holmes. Duran. Just a fantastic player. Would love to see him come play down under in a couple of years. If he's not in the pros. I'll go with Dayton. Give me the Flyers. They got a dude named Kobe Elvis. Are you kidding me with this? Kobe Elvis? Give me the Flyers.
Hey, did my buddy who made the Elvis movie, wasn't he from down under?
Ah, yes. One of our best.
And now Dayton's got Kobe Elvis. You connecting these dots?
All connected.
I'm going to take Dayton -3.
We agree. Can I extend this ridiculous bit out to the end of the show? I can and I will. Saturday, you guys going to Providence. Georgetown at Providence, 12:30 Eastern on Fox. I'll be there. I won't be speaking with this accent. Ed Cooley returning to the dunk. They're not fond of the man.
I hope they treat him kindly. I hope they treat him nicely.
We better not have an incident. But it will be a highly hostile environment for Ed Cooley to return to. Of course, the classic Friars coach who guided them to so many high points over the years, turning his back, but remaining, what do you call these things? Conferences? Remaining in the conference. Coaching at Georgetown, 12:30 Eastern on Fox. Norlander will be on hand to take in the scenery. Elsewhere on Saturday, Kansas State at number 4 Houston, noon Eastern, ESPN. Seton Hall at number 14 Marquette, 1 Eastern, Fox Sports 1. Number 20 Texas Tech at number 11 Oklahoma, 2 Eastern. It says here ESPN Plus. I don't know what that means. Another game for you, Texas at BYU, 2 Eastern, ESPN 2. Auburn at Mississippi State, 3:30 Eastern on the SEC Network. TCU at Baylor. Oh, Baylor. You know the guy at Baylor? The guy at Baylor's doing a great job. 4 Eastern, ESPN2. Horned Frogs. You know, we got those down under, right? We got those Horned Frogs in Australia. Clemson at Duke. Duke. 4 Eastern, ESPN. This is a loaded afternoon, actually, now that I'm looking at it here. And the number 6 Kentucky at Arkansas. 6 Eastern, ESPN. Those are your other games to watch. And one. It is a Friday night affair. That's right. We're picking a Friday game with an actual line. A FanDuel line. Make every moment more.
Make every moment more.
8 Eastern. Fox Sports 1, Friday night. Michigan State. Tom Izzo. At number 13, Wisconsin. Greg Gard. Yeah. Put another shrimp on the Gotti. On Orlando Tucker Court. He might have played professionally in Australia. The FanDuel line, Mr. Parrish. Wisconsin. Minus 2.5. Who you got?
Wisconsin minus 2.5. At the Breslin Center?
Michigan State. It's at Wisconsin, bud. Orlando Tucker Court. Were you not paying attention? The FanDuel line has Wisconsin as a 2.5 home court favorite.
That's too little. That's too little. That's too little.
You got anything else, lad?
No, just the line's little. Wisconsin.
I'll also take Wisconsin. Give me the Badgers. Give me the Badgers. Did we agree on almost every game?
I'll disagree on anything you want to right now. You can change mine however you want.
I think that's it, bud. I think that might be a podcast.
You ever see Norm Macdonald talking about the crocodile hunter? like 2 days after he died. It's on Jon Stewart. He's like, they said, man, isn't it so sad that the crocodile hunter died at the age of 44? It's like, that's a pretty good life for a crocodile hunter. I mean, how many crocodile hunters make it to 44?
Terrifying animals. Terrifying.
I saw one take a grandma into a lake the other day on TMZ. Grandma was just trying to walk her dog. Next thing you know, we got funeral arrangements. It's wild out there on TMZ, buddy. They'll show you some stuff.
Indeed.
They'll show you some stuff. Is that a show?
It's a podcast.
I think it is.
I think we're done. When are we going to be with the people again?
I don't think we know yet.
We don't know.
Yeah.
But it will not be during the American football on Sunday. We can guarantee you that. Your next podcast will be coming absolutely prior to those games kicking off. It will be in your phone long before. What is it? Who is it? It's on America's most watched network.
Network of Stars.
The Chiefs of Kansas City playing against those Blackbirds of Baltimore, 3 Eastern Sunday. This podcast will be ready for you long before they kick off the pigskin in Baltimore.
Shouts to Devin Downey. Shouts to Chester, South Carolina. Shouts to Terry MF Antigua, legend. Shouts to Huck, Larnell, Derek Austin, Crocodile Hunter, and Crocodile Dundee.
Hey.
And Colin Farrell.
I love Tame Impala.
And I know Colin Farrell's not from Australia, but he has an accent, and that's good enough. That's good enough for me. If you're not subscribed, please go subscribe anywhere you subscribe to podcasts, including Apple and Spotify. There's more of us than there are of them. That needs to be reflected in the comments. Naomi Osaka. One of us. One of us.
Of course.
I knew it. I always suspected. Make sure you more of us than there are of them in the comments. And we'll talk to you again real soon, but we don't know when. Till then, take care.
Good day.